Hello. Okay. Screen mirror. Okay. I am live on YouTube, but I am coming onto my iPad. So give me a second to connect. Let's see. Got it. Cool. That wasn't so hard. All right, let me see if I could. Y'all, I have no idea like where I am. Okay, so many things are open in front of me and I am super confused. All right, let's go here on this one. Okay, so that is that. I don't know why my screen is like over there now. What? Screen sharing is paused. I don't know why. Is all of a sudden like all of these pop-ups pop up and I'm like, what's happening? All right. Okay, allow. Great. Okay, so that is YouTube. That's where I am there. So it looks like you can see my screen. I hope so. Resume share. So small for me. It's big for you and it's small for me. All right. And okay. I'm going on this computer. Have to go. All right. So I think this is going to work. We'll see. We'll see. Why not? So welcome to my little space in the world. I have been wanting to record a walkthrough of the budget diaries, like all of them, the spreadsheet, the digital version, and the printed version when it comes out in about a month. But today I'm going to share the digital version and give you a walkthrough so that you kind of know how to navigate around when you get it. All right, so I'm looking at YouTube and it looks like it's working. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with this recording. And then this video will be available not only on YouTube, but it'll be available in the Budget Diary headquarters where all of the tutorials will live, which is your free access to the vault of Budget Diary information and help and access to me and all the things that you get from being part of my community. I also post this in the Facebook group, Everyday Manifesting, the Budget Diary community, and wherever books are sold, right? Like I will let you know what's going on. So first things first, let me close all the distractions and I want to show you the actual budget diary. So what you're seeing here is this picture I took of myself in a Canva mock-up. This is not the final cover for the digital version of the budget diary. This is the temporary cover until the final cover is approved. But as you can see, there's a cover and then there are tabs across the top. Now the tabs are really cool because, let me move this down for me. The tabs are really cool because as you're using a digital planner, similar to a like a physical book, you want to just skip to a part, right? Like you don't want to be scrolling for 500 pages. You want to just hop to a part that is relevant to what you're doing that day. And I love digital planners for this reason, that if you have hyperlinked tabs, you can jump around. So I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. Some of this will change with the version that you get, but this is pretty much the final version of the budget diary. So let's go first of all to the index and calendars. So what you see here is the personal section. So there are two sections to the digital budget diary. There's a personal section and then there's a small business section. This was created as I was tracking my money and as I was using the budget diary for personal, and I realized that this could actually apply to my small business with a few tweaks and changes. And so those tweaks and changes have been made in this all-inclusive, complete budget diary that you can use for personal and small business. I love it. It's amazing. And I'm going to show you how to use it. So this index looks a little bit overwhelming, but trust me, it's not. There's two sections to it. Let me see if I can write on here for you so you can see the section. So the first section is up top. This is, these are all worksheets that you use at any time during the year, okay? And then this bottom section, these are all by month. So you have January, February, March, so it's even arranged quarterly, right? Quarter 1, 2, 3, 4, but in personal, we don't usually refer to our life in quarters so much in personal, so that comes more into play in business. But these are all your monthly sections. Let me erase all this. Try to anyway. It's lagging a little bit behind. It's doing something weird. It's doing something really weird. But these are your monthly sections, and each monthly section will take you to the sections of the budget diary that you use as part of the system. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through that. First, let me walk you through these trackers that we see up top. All right, so coaching notes includes the introduction, which is here. The small business portal, which is if you, taking a second here. If you want to go directly into the small business section, here's a portal. You can access it directly by clicking this button. There's a bit of a description about it that's there. Let's see, let's go back. Helpful links. Now this is a really fun thing that you can do with digital planners is you can add helpful links. And each one of these gold squares will take you to a part of my community. It'll take you to the tutorials, which is what I was talking about before in the vault. It'll take you to Instagram where you can see what I'm up to on Instagram. I go live every day. Can take you to the Facebook community. My Facebook community is more of like a behind the scenes look at my life. So with Instagram, it's mostly all business. And then if you come into Facebook, you can see what the heck I'm doing at home, which is a lot of fun. And I love sharing with people. Podcasts, you can subscribe to the Everyday Manifesting podcast from this link. Coaching, there's information on how you can work with me, through coaching. I have a private clients, I also have group coaching. And then YouTube, which is here, where you can watch the videos I've uploaded and the lives that I've made. And I also do a little Pomodoro co-working because I love to work with people and not work alone. So going back to index, and it's usually not this slow. I think it's slow because I'm screen sharing, but it's usually like Johnny on the spot. So now we go to the section that's labeled goal trackers. And in your goal trackers section, you have your debt snowball. And I may not jump around too much if it's going to be lagging like this, but you have your debt snowball. You have your goal tracking coloring page, which is fun. You have your monthly wins. Let me go back. And your net worth. So I wasn't sure if that one's included. And so we'll go through these really quickly, but your annual income and expense summary, your savings tracker, your sinking funds, holiday funds, and your special events budgets. So these you can get to directly from the screen by clicking these yellow buttons, but we'll go back through goal trackers and I'll show you each one. There will be a separate video explaining how to create your debt snowball. So I'm not going to go into that here because that is like a whole situation. Okay, but your goal tracker coloring page, basically your goal amount. So say you want to pay off your home or pay off your car, and you want to make it fun. You want to gamify it. For one thing, if you have more than one big debt that you want to kind of make into a game to pay off, or you want to include your kids in there when you're talking about paying it off, you can copy this page by just going up to this plus and then clicking this current template and saying after, and then you end up making a completely new one. And so you have two. So you can have one for your house, one for your car. But basically you take what your current amount owed is. So however much that is, you divide it by 150 because there's 150 squares. And so each block represents the amount that you end up with right here. And so whatever that is, and then each time that you pay that amount towards the debt, you get to use your cool markers and you can color it in. You can make it different colors each month. I mean, you can have a rainbow going on. Let's say this amount ends up being $150. So each time you pay $150 towards that bill, you can color it in. Now, say you pay $300, that means you can color in 2 squares. I know this sounds super basic, but I want to like let you know how to use it. So lots of fun there. Your monthly wins also very much fun. I love every month there's a checklist for your monthly process, and it reminds you to go back and record your wins. So it helps you to think about from the month what exciting thing happened, what milestone event did you reach, what thing moved the needle in your personal finances. And what ends up happening is on a day when you don't feel so positive, on a day when you don't feel like you're making any progress, you can always go back to your monthly wins and look at them and say like, oh yeah, I did that. Oh yeah, this is what's been going on. I'm actually rocking and rolling. I feel really good about this. I'm doing a great job. Okay. The next one is your net worth. I recommend people to calculate their net worth at the very beginning of using their budget diary as part of creating a big book, which is a whole other conversation. And if you go into the budget diary headquarters, you will see the description of the big book and how it helps you in your finances. But I recommend that you calculate your net worth at the very beginning and then calculate it at some point, 6 months down the line, 9 months down the line, but you do it at least twice a year because it really helps you to see your progress and helps to keep you motivated, and you can see, how your efforts are paying off. So basically you look at your assets, the things that you own outright. If you own your car, if you own whatever, and you take the fair market value of it. Whatever asset you have that has value to it, you add it here. This can include your business. And then your liabilities, what I owe. So what do you owe and how much is actually due? How much left is on the mortgage? How much is left on the car, the student loans? And just put them here. Total up your assets, total up your liabilities. You just put, your down here. Let me see. Down here is where you calculate your assets, and then there's a little minus sign. Your liabilities will give you your net worth. You can put the date here. Once again, you can make a copy of this page. That way in 6 months, you can do it again. You can adjust it, make a copy of that page. In 9 months, you can do it again. You can adjust it. It's a lot of fun. It's super helpful. The next page is your income and expense reports. This is an annual income and expense report. So what will happen is as you're going through month by month, you will be getting all of these numbers that are, wait, let me write down the side. So you'll be obtaining all the numbers that are in this column. You'll be looking at January's income. You'll be looking at, if you do the basic expense sorter, you'll be here in this gray area. If you use the advanced expense sorter, you'll be finding all the numbers for all of these. And as you go, you can come back. So say you do January, there's a portion on January's review checklist that'll tell you, okay, now come back and put these numbers, in this expense report. That way, at the end of the year, you can send this page, which is from January to June, and the next page, which is from July to December. You can send that to the person who helps you prepare your taxes, and they can see the breakdown of all of your expenses, and they can also see your income over the month. You can also, I really love to do this when I was married. My husband would always, he assumed I wasn't good with money, right? But once I created the budget diary, I was a badass with money, right? And he'd be like, well, how much did, whatever in this month? And I'd be like, oh, let me get my budget diary. Doop, doop, doop. And I would just scroll because I was using the digital one at the time, and I could just show him exactly what the numbers were for the month because I had them because I was tracking it. And so it just really makes you feel so empowered about your money, really helps you to see that, yeah, you actually are good with money, right? And it's cute too, and that really helps. Okay, so the next tracker, my alarm is going off over here. The next tracker is your savings tracker. So this is a lot of fun. So what I do with my savings tracker, across the top, you have your account name, and you put in the account. I usually will put in the last 4 digits of the account number. And then the purpose is where you can put in the nickname or like the purpose of the account to make it easy for you to remember. So like his retirement, her retirement, son's college, daughter's college, emergency fund. And then there's a space here where you see I put in January in purple. So there's always a space for you to put in the month. And then you put in the balance and the amount added. Now, if you ended up subtracting, you can put in the amount subtracted, but just make sure you kind of update that month by month. And if you skip a month, that's totally fine because you could always come back later. Like say you didn't look at his retirement, and I don't look at mine every month for like my retirement fund, but say like every couple months you look, and so you skipped May, you skipped June, but now you're in July, you're like, oh yeah, let me look at it, and it's like $330,000, and you just kind of take note of that. That way you can just kind of track sporadically how your investments are doing, how your savings are doing, and you don't have to look at them every single month. And then also for like investments, I don't put in so much the amount added because who knows, it just fluctuates. So I just write here market fluctuation. Next to the month, that space, you can always use that for notes, just a few little quick notes. Like here I put auto contribution because there's like an automatic contribution for my monthly income for $100 to go into my son's college fund, $100 to go into my daughter's college fund. So I put an auto contribution. And then here, where's emergency fund, I'm over here now, emergency fund. So it started out in January, you had $1,500. We didn't add any amount, so I put no contribution. So there's still, 50-50 because this is in a money market account. If you're part of my coaching program, I teach you how to optimize these accounts. But so say it's grown a little bit, and then I start budgeting a contribution because maybe now I'm using my budget diary and I understand like exactly how much money I need to live, and I can take that extra money and be really strategic about how I save it. So now I'm adding not only $100 to each of my kids' college funds, but I'm adding $100 to the emergency fund every month too. So it's a budgeted contribution. But then if there's a month where, say, there's another priority, I can always say, okay, there's no contribution this month because I'm doing something else with the money this time. So it's all about being empowered and making the choices and the decisions around the money that make sense to you at the time, and not being like stuck into this plan. So the other thing I want to point out while we're here is the fact that the budget diary, like the magic of the budget diary, is the affirmations, I believe. So I'm going to highlight some of the affirmations here at the bottom. And the instructions here. So at the top, you see it says every dollar has a job, even if the job is to provide for your amazing future. The reason that I entered this one under savings tracker, and every page has a different, obviously, different description, but I noticed that once you start changing your mindset around money and you start, I said mindset, your mindset around money, and you start to have priorities around savings, you have more money. And if you're a spender like me, you're tempted to kind of like give away more money and help more people and all these things. But it's good to remind yourself that every dollar has a job. So even if someone comes to you and they want to borrow money, it's like all my money, you may have extra and they're like, I know you have extra, like give me some money. And you're like feeling guilty about that, but no, all of your money has a job. Even if that's helping you to save your money, that's still a job and it's okay to have that. So at the bottom, the affirmation is I deserve the money that comes to me. So that's a worthiness thing. We talk about that in my coaching program. We have a lot of worthiness issues. I deserve the money that comes to me, right? There's no need to feel guilty about that. And it's safe for me to have more than I need. A lot of us will spend every penny every month because we're like, it's not safe to have more. It's not safe. Someone will come and take it. Family will come and borrow it. Like all these things happen when I have more than I need. But as we use the budget diary and we see these affirmations over and over, we learn and we instill in our mindset that it is safe to have more than you need and that you deserve everything that comes to you. Okay, so the next tracker is a sinking funds tracker. This one requires a little bit more explanation. So I won't go into the details here because it's kind of like the debt snowball. Like there's so much to tell you about the sinking funds tracker. And similarly, the holiday funds tracker. So sinking funds and holiday funds are both savings accounts. So you could use a very basic savings account with your bank and you just put money away month by month based on the fact that for holiday funds, eventually you want to take a vacation. So you're saving up ahead of time for your vacation so you can pay cash for it and you're not charging your vacation and paying for it for the next 6 months. Sinking funds is how you save up money ahead of time for things that happen infrequently. So it's not a bill that comes up every single month, but it's a bill that comes up every 6 months or once a year, such as homeowner association dues, such as your car registration renewal, such as your professional um, licensing renewals, all these things, professional dues, all these things that happen like every 6 months, like your car insurance and homeowners insurance, like these things that happen every 6 months that you kind of like put on the back burner. You are saving for them automatically so that when they come up, it doesn't break your budget, right? Like that money doesn't come from your monthly budget that you have already kind of you're on autopilot, like you know what your bills are every month, and then boom, here comes this big thing, $500, and you're like, wait, what? 500, but no, you've already accounted for it. You've been saving it in the sinking funds. Or Christmas comes around, goes back to your holiday funds. Christmas comes around and Christmas is not an emergency, right? So you don't want to pull it from your emergency fund to just be like, okay, let's do this big Christmas thing or have a big New Year's trip. You've been saving for it all year, so you can pay for it in cash and then just pay yourself back into this account. I love this because it saves your budget. It keeps you from ever getting into trouble with pulling money from your monthly again. So you can still save, for college, you can still save all the way you've been doing because you already have this set up. So like I said, I go into this in much detail in other places. The next one is a special events budget. So I am not a big budgeter. I know it's funny because it's called the budget diary, but there's really not a budget in here. And that's kind of the magic of the system and why it works so well for spenders. But I do find a lot of freedom and relief in a special events budget. So say your kids are I have twins, so I say kids, but say one of your kids is having a birthday party and you want to just kind of jot down some notes about how much you want to spend and just kind of see, it's not like you're going to be, it's not etched in stone and you're like, you have to do this, you have to stick to this budget, because I really don't believe in that. There's no freedom in that. I feel like we should have fun with our money. But you can, and by the way, you can zoom in on these too, so you can run it. So the essentials for the event, the item or service. So my kids, they're 5. So for their 5th birthday, they wanted a bounce house. Like my daughter, like that was a non-negotiable. She wanted a bounce house. We got the biggest one they had. So say we were saying bounce house or bounce castle or whatever you call it. And I said, okay, I will spend up to $500 on the bounce house, which my husband thought was ridiculous. But I was like, I don't know how much they cost, but if it's more than 500, I think it's too much, but less than that, I'm cool. Right. And then another item of service, we wanted pizza. We're just going to get a bunch of pizzas. We're going to do it in my mom's backyard. The cake. So you just kind of like brainstorm and just have fun with it. So the cake, we weren't going to have that many people, maybe some goodie bags. And so you just say, okay, so for all this, and like maybe I want to spend $50 for that total. Maybe I'll spend $50 total for the cake, the pizza. If we get like 3 of it, it's like less than $30 for pizza. And just kind of go like that, and maybe some fruit, like whatever it is that you want. And then you total it up and you say, okay, this is my total budget for the essentials for the event. And then the other expenses, like say, what do I want to get them for? Their birthday, the gift, and so you kind of decide how much you want to spend. And then when it came down to the bounce house ended up being like $325, right? And you can put the change over here. The pizza ended up being, I think it ended up being like $30. The cake was like 15. I don't know. I'm just making this up. The goodie bags, we didn't even have goodie bags. But anyway, so then you come here and it's like, this is where the magic comes into. How can I increase funding for the event? Right? When you are using the budget diary, there's always a prompt in there that causes your brain to kind of give you a result. I like to say, I got this from Marissa Peer, your brain is like Google. Right? If you ask, like how you type in a question in the Google search bar and it just kind of pulls up all these results, that's how your brain can work if you let it. So ask your brain a question. Ask your beautiful, intelligent, infinitely connected brain for answers to certain questions. So how can I increase funding for this event? Right? Like, where can I get more money from to make this event even better? And your brain will come up with the answers, whether you come up with, you're in the shower and it's like, oh, I could do this, or people will come your way. So for our event last fall, my mom came and she came into the house. We were doing it at her house, and she just like walked in that morning with like all the stuff she had bought from Party City and just like all these toys and all kinds of stuff. And the kids had a blast, and it was just like, that was something I didn't have to buy. She got balloons, like all kinds of stuff that I wasn't expecting. And so it was like, oh, that's really awesome. Like, that was like free help. So you never know. And the thing about that is, it's gratitude, right? Like, I recognized that was contributing to the party. As far as like contributing funding, I mean, it's an energy exchange. It's not like she gave me money and I went out and did it. She brought all this stuff. And so it was like, that was contributing to the party. And I was able to recognize it because I had asked myself, how can I increase funding? And then that happened. And I was like, oh, I'm so grateful. Right? As opposed to like, oh, cool, some things are here. Right? And the more grateful you are, the more things flood into your life. All right, let's go to the next one. I know I'm taking a long time. Okay, so here we are with the month. So January, this is the kit of the budget diary system. And it's the same across the digital, the printed version, the spreadsheet. They're all the same system, but I'll show you the differences in the different videos. So one thing I want you to notice is that the January tab is highlighted now because we are now in January. So say we are in July. If you click on the July tab, if I can do it, I gotta turn that off. Click on the July tab, it'll take you to July. So when you open up your budget diary, you can go to whatever month you need to be in, and it's not like a big deal to scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. You don't have to do that. You just jump to the month that you're in. So the entire calendar is undated. The entire budget diary is undated because you can use it any year that you want. So July, I don't know, let's say, I know today is Monday and it's the 19th. So let me write in here, 19th, 20th, 21, 22. So this is what you would do is when you start out the month is that you would add in the dates on the calendar. So what I typically use the calendar for is during my money dates, I go in and with the financial coaching club, we have our money dates on Thursdays. So we all sit together, and from 17, 16, 15, so messy, I'm so sorry. But from the previous Thursday to this Thursday, we fill in the transactions that we've had. So I'm gonna do that in purple. So let's say I went and got gas and it was literally $45. And then I got groceries and they were $80. And then here, what I did, let's pay the water bill. I don't know, it's 15 bucks, whatever it is. And then here, let's pay the internet, $45, and so that is what we do on our money date. We just fill in the calendar. Down here at the bottom, you can write down anything you need to remember for the month, whatever it is. And this is our cash calendar. So I call it the cash calendar because this calendar is specifically dedicated to money stuff. Now, the reason I use a cash calendar, because I know the system is going to start to sound redundant in 5 seconds. But the reason I use a cash calendar is because when I was getting out of debt, and by the way, I paid off over $500,000 in debt in 14 months using this exact system. The reason that it was magical is because I could see a pattern to my spending. I can see a pattern to my spending and my earning, because when we get to the small business section, you can actually put your sales on the calendar. You can see a pattern. So as I could see the pattern to my spending, I actually could match it up to, my mood, my stress levels, my sleep habits, and it made a huge difference with the way that I could live my day-to-day life. Because I could see, like, okay, I was a doctor at the time, and I'm like, okay, my call schedule is matching up with my spending habits. Meaning the day after I've been on call for like a 30-hour shift, I was spending so much more. And I realized that I was just tired. I was tired. I was making poor choices. I was eating fast food. I was going shopping. I should have just gone home and taken a nap. But instead, I was like, let me go to Hobby Lobby, right? Like, I was so miserable that instead of looking at what was really bothering me, I was just like buying craft supplies because I was like, oh, one day I'm going to be able to crochet. So let me go get some more yarn. Let me go start this new project, because one day I just really want to just have this life, the life that I have now, basically, where I could do what I wanted. And so it's just this odd dynamic. But that's what I work with my clients in the financial coaching club, is to find a pattern in your spending. And let's get to the heart of why that pattern keeps happening. Because there's a reason for that. And it's not a blame shame game. Like, there's a real reason that's going on with you and in your heart that's causing you to feel like you desperately need to spend in this way, but the spending is just a band-aid over what's really, really going on with you. So that is a cash calendar. You will find a pattern. And another awesome thing that I love about the calendar is you can start to plan, like after like 3 months of using it, you can start to plan your savings in a much bigger way. I remember one time my husband called me at work, and he was like, hey, it was like maybe like the 20-something, like the 25th of the month. And we had like 5 more days in the month, and the account was like almost zero. And he was like, hey, there's only like $75 more in the account, and we have like 5 more days before payday. And I was like, yeah, uh-huh. And he was like, well, what are we going to do? Because I have been using the cash calendar, I knew what our pattern was, and I knew that there would not be another transaction after the 25th of the month, hell or high water. Like, there would not be another transaction, because I knew the pattern of the spending. So what I had done was transfer the money to the various savings, like I could already anticipate. So I transferred the money to the savings, I transferred the money to the emergency fund, like I did all of that after that last transaction of the month. So when you're doing this right, and when you're doing this for a while, you are the commander of your money army. You really are. You know exactly where your money is going. You know exactly where it's coming from. There's no bad surprises. They're all good surprises. So the stress of managing money is gone, because you're just like, if you get extra money, like you may get a check in the mail, it's like, oh, this is an amazing surprise. But you won't get like a bill in the mail where you're just like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? Because you always have some money somewhere else that's saved. All right, let's see. So the other part of the system, this part where I say it feels redundant, but it's actually very helpful. So the basic expense sorter, you have the option of using the basic expense sorter or the advanced expense sorter. With the basic, there are only 4 categories: essential expenses, fixed expenses, variable expenses, and current month's expenses. Now, once you join one of my programs, I go really deeply into what each of these means. If you're in the Budget Diary headquarters, below this video, there will be a video explaining what each of these means, and it'll be, easy for you to know how to sort your expenses. But for the sake of this quick overview, this is the basic expense sorter, okay? The advanced expense sorter has where the income is added in. So even for basic, you would still use this income sorter. So you add your carryover bank balance because it's going to come into play. When you're using the digital budget diary, you do need to use a calculator as well. The only one that you won't is with the spreadsheet. So if you're using the physical budget diary, you'll also need to use your calculator. And with the spreadsheet, you can do calculations right on the sheet, which is awesome. So what you'll do is you'll start to sort these expenses. So you can grab them directly from your cash calendar if you want to. Sorry, like I said, this isn't as slow in real life. It's pretty slow doing my screen sharing. Weird. So you can grab the expenses directly from there, and you can do this during your money date. So week by week, you are adding your expenses to the calendar, and then you're adding them over here to the sorter, so that by the end of the month, when you're doing all the math and you're doing your review, everything is where it needs to be. You don't have to go back. You're not fumbling through things, like you've kept up with it. So you put in, and there's several pages here because there are several categories to choose from. You will very quickly learn which categories are relevant to your life and which ones you can skip over. I recommend that you put the total expenses for each page, because when you're doing your review, you can quickly calculate up this main number versus calculating all the totals that you'll end up with here. There's more. And the only difference of these pages, like I said, are the actual categories. Okay. And then there's some here that are for extra in case you have something different that you need to put in. I have one of my clients has a category just for her clothing. She buys clothing often, and she has a category just for clothing. I have another client who is heavily into her skincare ritual, and so she has a category just for her skincare products. And the good thing about categories is when it's time to set a goal or review a goal, you can do it by category. So say you have a category for your skincare regimen, and you want to challenge yourself and create a goal. So the way that I teach people how to budget, it's not really a budget, but it's to make it a game, right? Like that's how I got out of debt so fast. It was fun. I made it a game. I had my kids involved. We just had a blast doing it, and it went by so fast. I was like, oh, it's over. Like we're done. Which nobody said that ever, in budgeting. But so say you have your skincare budget or your skincare regimen, and you have like, this is how much you've been spending for the last 3 months, and you kind of look at it and you say, you know what, I wonder if I can get this down to this number. I wonder if I could get it down to this amount. And you challenge yourself and you create a goal where you say, okay, in 2 or 3 months, I'm going to look back and see like how I've done compared to this month, compared to that month, right? And so you just if it's all like in one category, it's easy to just come back and say, okay, the total this month was, oops, I'm writing in highlighter. The total this month, say I spent $500, maybe you're going to the spa, maybe you're getting injections, maybe you're doing whatever you're getting, and it's like, oh, it's $500 this month, and then you check 3 months later, and it's like $300, and you're like, yay, I did it. It's just something else that you can celebrate. Something else that you can be proud of yourself about, because money is fun, and we should have fun with money. So that is that. And then the cash receipts tracker. So I don't use cash anymore. When I very first started out, I was using cash. If you're in debt, it's a really good exercise to start off using cash for everything, because it helps you to see like how fast money flows through your hands. It really does put in perspective that using a card won't do. So use cash, especially if you have kids, so they can see like the value in like how fast cash will go. Once you break that 20, boom, that sucker is gone. So I would recommend using cash. Now, what I do now and what I teach my clients, I use a debit card, but I use it as a cash card. So every month I transfer money to that card as like, this is my spending that I'm going to use this month. I have goals around that spending. It's like a whole deal. But on that specific card, I track my expenses on this page, the ones that come from that specific card. Yeah, I don't know why that just changed to like an oval. And then I put notes over here about like what I bought and why, or whatever it is, because sometimes it's pretty vague when you're just writing the name of the expense or something. The other thing, so I want to mention that with this cash card, so the debit card that I use for my my cash card, I track it as the withdrawal. So this is like kind of complicated. You don't even need to know this, but I don't track each individual purchase when I do cash. It's kind of like if you got money from the ATM and on your bank statement it would just say like withdrawal, and so it'd be like $400, and so I just put $400. But then here is where I put like the details of where all that $400 went. So yes, hope that made sense. If not, just send me a message and I can explain it. And then you get to your monthly review, which is so much fun. So the last money date of the month, or the first money date of the next month, you go back and you update your goals, you look at how well you've done, and then you do your checklist. So your financial goals, this is just a reminder to you. They don't have to be the same ones all year long. This is just a place for you to write it down and make it more powerful. Things that we write down are so much more powerful than when we are just kind of thinking it in our heads. So every month you get a reminder of like what you're doing, why you're doing it. And then you can track, what worked well this month? What did you do that worked well? My big thing is putting in systems, right? So having a system where I go get gas every Thursday, no matter what, no matter if I have like 3/4 of a tank or if I'm on empty, like I just fill up my tank every Thursday. And that way I don't have to think about it any other time of the week, right? Like it's carved out. That's my system. That's what I do. So that worked well because then I have a predictable schedule for getting gas and I have a predictable amount that I usually will spend and I don't have to worry about it. What didn't work this month? So sometimes things don't work in a month. Like sometimes over in like I'm tired, like say I'm tired and I go to the grocery store and I buy all kinds of stuff from the impulse shopping and I'm just like, oh, why did I do that? Number one, why did I go to the grocery store tired? Number two, I didn't stick to my list. I got all this crazy stuff that we don't even eat, and end up going to waste and all this stuff. So what didn't work? And then next month you'll keep that in mind when it's time to go to the grocery store and you're like, wait a minute, I'm tired. I probably shouldn't go today. Or I should order my groceries for pickup so I'm not in the store getting tempted by all the things on the end cap. And so that's something that just kind of like you put it into writing and it becomes so much more real. And then you write down the changes that you made. This was really important for me when I was getting out of debt because I needed to track what changes I was making. So sometimes I would realize, I really don't use this magazine subscription, or I really wasn't using my XM radio because I was listening to podcasts. So it was like, I canceled something. So I would write down here what I canceled. Or if I was starting a new habit, like I was starting to do the gas on Thursday, life hack, then I'd put it here. That way I could just have a record because it's part financial tracker, but it's also part diary. That's the reason I call it the budget diary, is because it's a place where you can look back and see like what you've actually done. It gives you evidence because your brain will always tell you that you're not doing enough or you're doing something wrong. But this planner will give you evidence to look back and say, actually, I've done a lot and I'm doing a lot of things right and I'm getting really, really close to my goals. And then, so if you do set a goal, here is a section where you say, okay, here's the goal that I'm setting. I want to decrease my skincare expenditure, and here's when I'm going to follow up. And then I would add it to a calendar. So go forward. So like say you're going to follow it up in September, go to the September calendar and add in follow up skin care expense goal. Right. And so when you get to September and you're going to do your review, it's like, oh, yeah. When you're doing your money dates, you're like, oh, yeah, I was going to follow up this goal. So you don't have to think about it in the moment or remember it. The less we have to stress our brains with remembering things, the better. So just go ahead and add it to the calendar. When you get there, it'll be waiting for you. Oh, man. That's such a fun thought for me. Get there, it'll be waiting for you. So let's go back to July, and we've looked at this and this and this. We're in the review. The other way to get to the review is to go back to that main index page and just click under July, click on review. And that is a quick way to get to it. All right, so now we're back here, and I always include a gratitude list. So here's a gratitude list. When you're doing your monthly review, write down something that you're grateful for, something that you've, that you've done that you're so proud of yourself for. And then let's tackle the monthly checklist. So, did you track all your transactions on the cash calendar? Yes, I did. X with the date. What date did you do it? Did you sort your expenses into categories? Yes, I did. You can put the date, this review date here because you've done that every week. Did you total up all your income and all your expenses? Yes. Did you calculate the difference between the income and the expenses? Did you update your debt snowball or your savings tracker? So if you're in debt and you're paying money towards debt, go back to your debt snowball and add in what you paid, what you paid towards debt this month. Did you update your sinking fund tracker and transfer the amounts? This is like a whole deal that I will explain to you guys, but you can use your sinking funds and then you pay yourself back. So it's a really cool system. I call it be your own bank. Also goes with the holiday fund. So say you go on vacation and you use money for your vacation, you can use the money you saved in your holiday funds when you come home and transfer it into your account, and that balances you out. You're your own bank. You've lent yourself some money, and there you are. Did you update your monthly wins tracker? Okay. And then the last one is, did you update your annual income and expense summary? So basically taking those totals from the expense sorter page and adding them back into that main tracker. That way at the end of the year, you have all of your beautiful numbers and you are such a rock star. So, and then we come to next month's budget. So here's the only part of the budget diary where there's an actual budget, okay? Because most of this is like a retrospective. You're looking back. But what you can do for next month's budget is, this is more like a brainstorming sheet where you can write down like, okay, here's how much is in the bank. Here's how much I think is coming in. Here's how much I think the expenses will be next month. And then you can kind of total it out. And again, ask your brain a question. How can I easily increase my income just ask your brain a question like, how could I do that? How could I increase my income? And then you can brainstorm some ideas about how you could do that here. Then how can I easily decrease my expenses? Now, I'm not one to advocate for radical decrease of expenses. Like, I'm not going to tell you eat beans and rice, live on ramen noodles, any of that stuff. Like, take a shower in cold water. Like, that is not my game because I love living an abundant life. But what about easily, right? What about easily decreasing your expenses? What about the same thing as what I was saying before? I'm not using my XM radio. Why am I paying $15.99 a month for it? You know, that's money I can put in my holiday fund. Uh-oh, I did something with my camera. Sorry, I turned off my video. And then also, like I was saying with subscriptions that we don't use, you know, like you can easily decrease expenses by not, you know, paying for these subscriptions that you don't even use. So only if it's easy, only if it feels fun, do you decrease. Always, always increase. And that is the end of July, and next comes August, and you do the same thing all over again. And it's amazing fun, especially if you do it with friends. I run a co-working session through my membership. Either, you know, if you work with me as a private client or if you work in the membership, you always have access to all the group meetings. And we do this all together. Of course, we're not sharing our screens, we're not sharing our numbers, but we're all in the same Zoom meeting working on our budget. What I have found is you will do it if other people are doing it, right? Like if no one else is doing it and it's up to you to put this on your agenda and stick to it, if you're anything like me, something else comes up, something's more important, something's more fun, you know, something's more urgent, and then you don't do it. And then next thing you know, it's like 3 months later and you're like, oh yeah, I'm off track with my budget. I haven't been keeping up with my finances. So the entire reason that I created this system and created my financial coaching club was because I was lonely in doing this and I was skipping it too many times. I knew I needed friends. So what grew out of that is this amazing squad of badass women. We keep up with these things all together and we stay on track together. So yeah, I think I've been going for, I don't know how many minutes. I don't know how long I've been going, but I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna do the small business section because it's part of the digital budget diary and I want you to be able to see how it works. So when I click on small business, you get into a whole other section. So welcome business boss. So the purpose of the small business budget diary is to help you make tax time simple and painless, to help you assess your annual revenue and expenses, to help you keep your business and personal finances separated, and also to grow your business savings, pay off your business debt, so much more. This is so much fun. You have to know that I am a former medical doctor. I am not a tax attorney. I am not anybody's CFO. I am not a tax preparer or anything like that. Like I don't do anything with finances in a professional way, except the fact that I am like a professional organizer. The way my brain works is that I can take complicated things and make them simple, and I can organize the hell out of life. Right? That is how I ended up. That's kind of how I ended up in medicine. I could see disease processes, and I was able to simplify it for patients to let them know, okay, here's the decisions that you need to make, and here's an easy way to think about it. And when it came to money, when I was getting myself out of debt, it was the same thing. I could see pattern recognition. I could see how to organize something to make it easy and fun and all the things. So when it comes to your small business, this will help you organize the numbers. However, if you take this to your accountant, they will be like, what the hell is this? Right? Like this is to help you organize your numbers. Your accountant may give you a whole slew of terms that you don't understand. Like accounting is a whole profession, right? Like your accountant may have a whole different way of looking at the numbers and organizing the numbers and arranging the numbers and the terms that they use. You will have the same numbers, you may not have the same terms. The beauty of the budget diary is that you will understand your money. You will know what's going on. And when your accountant is meeting with you, when your tax preparer is meeting with you, when your CFO is meeting with you, you will know what the hell they're talking about, right? Because you're tracking right along with them. So I would say if your business is a small business, and I would say let's say less than $250,000 a year, the small business budget diary will be helpful for you to be able to like understand how the money is moving and be much more organized than you are when you're just throwing your receipts in a shoebox. Okay, your accountant will love you because you'll have some of these forms filled out the way that they're laid out in this program, versus if you're just like, I don't know how much I made, I think I made this much, I don't know, this is, we're going to do it this way. Okay, so again, on this page you can, if you, let me see, so I can write on here, you can go directly to the tutorials, or you can learn more about the club, which we do all this together like I said. And let's go on to the next page. So here's the index. Now this is what it looks like for the business side of it. The top has those worksheets I was telling you about. So on the personal side, you have worksheets, and on the business side, you have worksheets. We'll go through them all. And then on the monthly bookkeeping, it's arranged by quarter: first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. And at the end of each quarter, there's a quarterly review, Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4 reviews. Those are 2-page reviews. And the system is just about the same. But let's go into, and like I said, you can access each section from this index too. So let's go through here. So we start off with business goals and intentions. This came from Think and Grow Rich, where you set your intentions at the start, right? So what's your reason for starting the business? Now, here's the thing. A lot of people, if you're woo-woo like me, then you're gonna love this. Some people, if you're not a journaler, if you're not a person who likes to write or take notes, I don't even know why you'd be using a budget diary, because it is all about the diary part of it, right? Like this is the most powerful part of the budget diary, is the affirmations and setting the intentions and writing things down and making them happen. So do this. This is a powerful page. So what's your reason for starting a business? How do you want your customers and your clients to feel? I want mine to feel heard, cherished, abundant, and most of all, free. I don't want them to feel nailed down to a plan. I want them to feel free to create the plan as they go along. What are your sales and marketing platforms? Like, what are you using? How are you selling? How are you marketing? All the things. And then you set your intentions. By December 31st of this year, I intend to create this much money, you fill that in yourself, in new revenue by providing the following services to the best of my ability, directly from Think and Grow Rich, right? So then you write down what it is you plan to do. So for my business, I have this digital planner that you see. I have a spreadsheet of the budget diary. I have a notebook that's coming out this year for the budget diary, if you're watching this in 2021. I have the financial coaching club, and I have the private client one-to-one coaching. And those are the main ways that I create income. Now, I am believing these thoughts in order to make it happen. So you have to have some beliefs in order to make it happen. I am the commander of my money army. That's what I believe, right? I tell my money where to go. I tell it what to do, and it does it, because my money is here to serve me and to play with me and to have fun with me, right? So you have to believe that in order to make this happen. My business is my partner. Marketing is meeting new friends. Like all these things you have to believe, right? And then I'm releasing these behaviors, actions, or activities in order to make this happen. So I'm releasing self-criticism, right? I'm not going to be sitting here telling myself I'm doing something wrong, or I'm not doing it like other people, whatever. I am releasing the need for 100% belief, because if you follow me for any amount of time, you know that belief can waver, right? Even though I teach law of attraction, your belief can waver. It's your commitment that's going to be queen in your life. Commitment is queen. Your belief can waver. I'm also releasing caffeine. I started drinking mud water, and I realized that caffeine has really been holding me back. Lots of different reasons, but I've released caffeine so I can be more productive and have a better night's sleep. So here at the bottom, I know that this money is coming to me. I can see it in my mind, so I know that I'll be holding it in my hands soon. I am open and ready to receive the riches available to me, and I'm ready to pursue this goal with excitement and highest joy. Now, when you have a small business, your job is twofold. Number one, change lives. That's the first and foremost responsibility of you with a business. Number two is to make money. Why? So you can change more lives. Okay. So don't come getting all hung up on saying, like, oh, I'm not really motivated by the dollar amount. Like, I really just want to help people. Yes, those two go hand in hand. Thank you very much. You must make money to change more lives. You got to reach more people, so you need more money so you can reach more people, and it's just never ending cycle, and it's amazing, and it's fun. It's fun to play with money. It's fun to make money. It's fun to help other people to reach their goals in life. If you don't have a business that serves others, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. I don't even know what business would not serve others, but you need to have a business that serves others, because that's the one that's going to make you the most profitable spiritually, financially, all the things. All right, off my soapbox. I know that's a lot for one page. Okay, moving on. So business accounting categories. Now, as of 2021, these are the current accounting categories from whatever that tax document is called that you need, the 1022, whatever it is. I don't know. Like I told you, I'm not a tax attorney, but you can trust me on this because I use these. But from that tax document in 2021, these are the accounting categories. Every version of the budget diary will be updated as needed. So I would check these and make sure they're the most up to date. You can either check them with your accountant or just Google it, look online, and make sure these are up to date. But they're in alphabetical order, and these are the most recent, and they're really good. They're the most comprehensive list too. All right, so here I'm going to show you this. It's like a sheet. It's a sheet, and then there's sheet number. So for the accounting categories, much like the other categories, the expense categories on the personal side, there's multiple sheets where you put your expenses in the category. So on sheet number one, you get your income, and then all of these. Those are all on sheet number one. Sheet number two are all of these. They're in alphabetical order, which makes it easier. And here's the thing: as you go through the months using a budget diary, it becomes like second nature. You already know, like, oh, that's on sheet 5. Oh, that's on sheet 4. And you end up, because it's just repetition, right? Like you end up using the same things over and over. So these are your business accounting categories. This is included as a reference for you. Your business debt snowball, same deal. So below this video, there will be a video explaining how to use the debt snowball if you're in the budget diary headquarters. And you can set up a debt snowball for your business the same way you can do for your personal. I am not a person who will tell you not to use debt. You can leverage debt, leverage credit, but when you very first come to me for coaching, we want to get clean. We want to pay off all the debt because we want us to have a fresh start, and we want to start from a place of knowing versus like starting with like all this baggage from the past. So I will encourage you, if you first start using the budget diary, even in your personal or in your small business, that you start paying off your debt immediately, and then you start fresh with leveraging debt intentionally. Okay. And as it says down here, your business is increasing in value as you eliminate liabilities. Okay. Next is your business savings tracker. Again, every dollar has a job, and the job could be providing security for the future of your business, right? So here is, you just you have an account name, and it's the same thing. Like you put the last 4 digits, and then the beginning balance, and you put the month here. Oops, I put Jan. You know I meant January. And then your month 1 balance, the amount you added. You can even put if you took some money away, and then your balance for month 2, and you just kind of go along. The months are not added in here because you can start at any month that you want to, but I would recommend for the budget diary that you start at the at the beginning of the year and go straight through to the end of the year. Even if you start, like it's July right now, even if you start in July, I would say go back to January, look at your bank statements, fill all this in, because at the end of the year, you have this comprehensive document that you can use for your taxes and use for your personal reference, and it's amazing. All right. And it doesn't take too long to go back and add in all the information. If you just absolutely do not have time to go back and add in all the information, you can get with me. I do have a VIP service where I can do all that information for you. 100% securely. I won't have access to your accounts or anything like that. You can give me your statements and I'll fill it all in for you and catch you up. And then you have your money days from here on out and do it yourself. But at least you're caught up so you have something to compare it to. So you're not like doing 6 months at a time. I've done a whole year at a time before, and it took me like a whole weekend. I did my business and my personal, and I did it for the year. I think I did it in like November, and I did it for the whole year, but it gave me so much information. I was like, oh my gosh, like I've made money this year. It was the year I quit my job, and I was like, this is great, you know? So it's like stuff like that that are pleasant surprises that you need to see on paper, and your brain needs evidence. Okay, the net worth of your business, same deal. What assets does your business own? What's their fair market value? What liabilities does your business have? And then calculate it out so you can see what the net worth of your business is. Do not forget that your email list is an asset. Look at how much, if you email out a product and people buy it, that's how much your email list is worth. It makes you money, right? I'm not a business coach, so do not ask me how to calculate that out. Don't send me a message. I don't know, but I know that it has value. All right. And because like if you were to sell your business, you could actually like charge for that email list. Like the customers that you have that are loyal to your brand, whoever's buying your business will buy that list. So yes. All right, your annual business income and report. The same thing like on the personal side. Once you categorize your expenses each month, come in here and add in these numbers, because at the end of the year, you will end up with an entire record of where the money went and where it came from, and it's just beautiful, right? Like you got your income, you have all of your expenses, and you have it from January to May, and the next page you have it to June to September. In the next page, you have it October to December, and you have a little place for notes. Very cool. And then here is a tracker where you can say how you've used your profit. So I feel like I probably have to explain the monthly system before telling you about this, but this is basically like the savings tracker. So you have an account where you put in money each month that you set aside for profit. And here you can say, okay, here's a beginning balance. Like say you just have like $50 in there. And then each month, so it's like 1/1/21, and then 2/1/21. You say just Feb allocation, like February allocation. That's usually what I call mine. And say I'm putting in $65 more, and I'll just write like woohoo, made a profit. And every month you should be profitable. That's a trick to the budget diary. Every month you can be profitable. And let's say that I had to take some money from the profit. So if I take out like $15, I'm just using random numbers, but for whatever reason, I would note it here as to why. And I would put the, like whatever it was here, like the reason here, and then some notes about why, and then the date, of course. Okay. And then as time goes on, you can see like where the profit is going. So you're not in the dark at all. So these are just trackers that help you. How I use my owner's compensation. So a lot of times as small business owners, we reinvest the money that we allocate for ourselves. So each month you decide, like if you're making less than $250,000, then you pay yourself like 50% of your revenue, And you can always opt to reinvest that much. So say in January, you paid yourself $400, but then, so I guess this is the 1st of January, you paid yourself $400, but then in January, you added $800, but you reinvested in the business. And then each month, like you're reinvesting into the business, but sometimes you can take your allocation or sometimes you can just save it. So this is just a tracker where you can see like, did I keep it? Did I save it? Whatever. And it's just something you can look back on over the year and see like where you used your owner's compensation. Similarly, how your company is giving. So this has a two-part of it. One part is the giving allocation. So what charity did you give to? How much did you give? Because there is a way to save 2% each month to a giving fund. And then down here, which is a not so fun way of giving, but also necessary, is the taxes. So you can write down like how much you save for taxes and when you pay taxes and kind of have a record there of taxes. And monthly wins, once again. So for personal side, you have monthly wins. For the business side, you have monthly wins, right? Like every month, you should be celebrating yourself. No matter how small it is, no matter how wonderful it is, celebrate yourself and write it down and keep a record, because your brain is going to tell you that nothing is working and that everything sucks and you should just shut down your business. And you can go back to your monthly wins and say, actually, no, like each month I am making progress. I've done something each month that I'm proud of, and you can go back and celebrate that. Okay. Next, the project budget. So when you are in small business, you may have a project that you want to do. I don't know what, because whatever it is you want to do. Like for me, I made the budget diary into an actual notebook. That was a project, and I needed to make a budget for it. So I did some research and found out like the different parts and what they would cost, and I just kind of made a budget for it. Didn't stick to it in stone, just kind of loosely knew that, okay, this is how much this is going to cost, and kind of was able to plan for it a little bit. So you have a second project budget. And then here, we'll go through the system quickly because it's pretty similar to the personal side. So for January, it's the same thing. First, you fill in the date. So I don't know if it started on the 1st or not, but first you fill in the calendar, and then week by week, and you do it all the way to get to 31st, whatever it is. Week by week, when you have your money date, and if you have a small business, what I usually recommend for my clients to do is, the first Thursday of the month, they're doing their personal. The second Thursday of the month, they're doing their business money date, and we just alternate. Because once you get really good at doing personal, always do personal first. Once you get really good at doing personal, it's so fast for you that you have extra time. So you do your personal, and you can do 2 weeks on that Thursday of personal, and then you get your business is just as easy. So you can do 2 weeks of business on that business date. Okay, instead of week by week, you can do 2 weeks, and it keeps you caught up on both of them. So you would just zoom in, and using your banking app, you just fill in, like I use, so say you have like active campaign, use that for my email, and it's like $108 a year or whatever. Say it was due on this date. So you just put in things like that, and you fill them out for the entire month or the 2 weeks that you're catching up. Next, you do the bookkeeping by category. So for business income, there's a lot of lines here, because sometimes, like say you're getting paid by Etsy, this is the income in the owner's investment. So it's not really expensive. It should be income. I'll probably have to change that. But say it's like 1/3/21. It's like Etsy, and Etsy pays you like every Friday, and the amount can be whatever. Whatever it is. And then say you have your Stripe account, and then let's say you also invested in your business. So say this month you gave yourself, so owner's investment, you gave yourself $500. or you invested in your business $500. This can also be part of your budget where every month you can invest in your business a certain amount. Um, Also, you can, because you want to keep your business and personal separate, let's say you have a business credit card, you want to pay it through your business account. You don't want to pay your business credit card from your personal account. So what you do is you give yourself the money, you pay your business the money, then you pay the credit card, right? So that the money is coming directly from there, okay? So that is that. So you have advertising and marketing, business insurance, business meals and travel expenses, contract labor, commission fees, all those things. So this is sheet one, okay? And I again encourage you to calculate, total up all the expenses on each page. This is at the end of the month you do this, because that way you're all done with all of them. Okay, and then this is sheet two. So like I said, you'll get to know like which categories are in the sheet and which sheets you use most often. This is sheet 3, sheet 4, and sheet 5. And those are all of your expenses. And there's 3 extra spaces for other things that maybe you're not quite sure how to categorize them. And your accountant later can help you with that. But as long as you're consistent with the category that you put them in, it'll all kind of like make sense in your annual tracking. All right, so next is your monthly business review. So when we're looking at our monthly business review, you take from the previous category sheet and you put the total here. You have to do this at the end of the month or at the beginning of the next month when all the transactions are done, everything is settled, you fill this in, right? So you get this overall picture, total expenses, total income, and you can see what your profit or loss is here, your net profit or loss by just doing income minus expenses. Now you have a P&L. And then for the allocations, so here's how I recommend doing your allocation. So first you take your month's revenue. Don't take your owner's investment because that's you giving yourself money or giving your business money. Use your business revenue. So how much money did customers and clients pay you this month? And you take that number directly from here over to here. And you take that number, you get your handy dandy calculator, you decide if you want to use the allocation percentages that I put here, 5%, 15%, 50%, 2%, 28%. If so, you put them here. You multiply 5% or 0.05 times your monthly revenue, and you get the amount that you should transfer. Now, for each one of these, this is according to the book Profit First, right, by Mike Michalowicz, and I'm not a Profit First professional, but I'm going to tell you how you can use it until maybe you can work with a Profit First professional, is that you have a separate account for each of these categories, all right? If you cannot get a separate account for each of these categories, use one account, but make sure your record keeping on paper is up to date and accurate, which is why you have the trackers that I was telling you about before, like how I'm using my profit, how I'm using my owner's compensation, how I'm giving, and the taxes and all of that. That way you know where all the money is going. And if it's clear on paper, then you won't be so confused if it's all in one account, because sometimes it has to be, right? So what you do is, this is mostly an exercise, okay? This is an exercise. I'll tell you why. So you have your month's revenue, you multiply it, you have the numbers that you have here. Now say you don't have the money to transfer it, right? And I call this next month's allocation because you are going to transfer based on the money that you have in your account right now. So say you want to transfer 5% of the profit, I don't know, say it's $50. These numbers are not going to add up because I'm not using a calculator. And say this is like $85, whatever. And say this is like $150. And let's say you don't have these numbers left in your account because you're running like, your very beginning stages of business. you're not making a whole lot, but your expenses are kind of high because maybe you're getting some coaching, or maybe you bought some systems or whatever it is, like you're scaling, but you don't have the money to cover these all the way, still calculate this number out. Because if the funds, I put this little note here too, just to remind you, if the funds are available, transfer the allocated amount into the accounts for use next month. But if the funds are not available, just take note. Just take note of the opportunity that you have to improve for the next month. So what happens is become like you become that next level version of yourself because you've seen this. You're like, oh wow, I could have had this profit of $50 this month. Like my business could have had this profit. I could have paid myself $150 this month. Wow, and you start to think of yourself in this elevated way of like, wow, my business is doing this. And eventually what'll happen is you will be doing this. When it's time to buy something new, the next shiny object or the next whatever, you'll be like, actually, do I really need that? Because I'd rather like turn a profit this month than to buy this thing. Or I'd rather, it's just it's the same psychology as the personal side. It just kind of helps you think twice and be more mindful about your spending, and also really be on top of how much you have, right? Like if you have this much profit, this much saved for taxes, this much owner pay, this much opportunity for giving, that means you had this revenue. Now, it may be gone now. You may have spent that bad boy already, but it just shows you like you have a real business and your business has like the opportunity to be even better. So this goes into knowing your numbers. Like how empowering is it to know your numbers and to know that like, this is amazing. Like I could do like so much, let me just get it together. So it's awesome. Anyway, so the next monthly checklist, let me have a drink of water. All right. The next monthly checklist asks you, did you categorize your income and expenses? Did you total all the categories up? Did you calculate your profit or loss? Did you update your debt snowball or your savings tracker? Did you update your wins for the month? Updated your annual report? Basically, you take all these numbers and you put them back in the annual report. So much fun. Did you transfer your allocation amounts? Did you update your profit tracker? And by the way, if you didn't transfer your allocation amounts because you didn't have the money in there to do so, just write in here the explanation, the thoughts, give yourself a pep talk, whatever. It's a budget diary. You can write whatever you want in these spaces. Another tip is to, if all you can transfer is your taxes, transfer your taxes, right? Because then when it's time to pay taxes, you have all this money. And you may not even owe that much. Like maybe you transfer your profit and your taxes and you end up with extra money, right? Now your business is not such a scary thought because you have like more than you need, just the way you have it in your personal life. All right, did you update your profit tracker, update your owner's compensation tracker, update your giving and your taxes tracker? So it's just, you can put an X here for all of these. So at a glance, you can look at this page and say like, oh, I didn't do this for this month. Let me go back and do this, right? So you can see. And I always will say congratulations for showing up, because we feel like we're not doing enough. And some people are not doing anything, right? So showing up is a big deal. Just the fact that you showed up, just the fact that you're watching this video up to this point when I've been talking for like an hour is amazing, right? All right. And the next part in the monthly business review is what worked well, right? Like what did you change this month that worked really well? What didn't work? What didn't work? Did you buy something? I remember a couple months ago, I made some planners for some people. I sent out some physical planners and I didn't feel really good about it. And it's just like, that was a bad idea. So I wrote that in my budget diary so I could think about that later. The next time I had an urge to go to Michael's and do something like that. And it was just like, think twice, right? So what would I do differently? So what I would do differently is I would probably not DIY the budget diary next time. I would like hold off on that and just maybe send them a physical planner instead. So it's just a way to get your mind thinking so the next month you can level up even more in your business. And then we go to February. So that's the kit for the month. And to get back to do this, go back to the index, and it'll take you back to, let me clean that up, take you back to the main index, and you can, like, say you need to put the numbers from the month into the annual. You need to put it in the annual income and expense report. You can click here and it'll take you to that annual income and expense report, and you can add those numbers in each month. Well, in theory, here it is. So it'll take you there. So that is the budget diary, and it's available in my Etsy shop. If this is something that's interesting to you, if you're the type of person who uses a digital planner, this is the one for you. If you like spreadsheets, it's also in the Etsy shop. Or if you like good old paper and pen, that one is coming out in September or October of 2021. It's available for pre-order. You can send me a message and I can tell you how you can get on pre-order, or you can visit www.everydaymanifesting.club, everydaymanifesting.club, or you can text friend to 44144, get on my mailing list, get access to the Budget Diary headquarters, and you will see all of these wonderful opportunities for you to be the commander of your money army. All right, thanks for hanging out with me today, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.